I fell in love with business. I didn't have a background. I had no idea this is where it was going to go. In 3 months' time, I had this place paid off and I was building a bigger facility.
Wow.
And turns out I was really good at it. And then was the balancing act. Like then was the next thing, right? How can I have both? Because both had become so important to me.
Yeah.
So I hope I didn't pass you up, but does that make sense on where it started?
Yeah.
The boredom and the dissatisfaction. And then yet like, but I can't leave the kids and I can't do that. And I can't have both. And so I was sacrificing like creativity, purpose, passion, thinking that I was serving them better, or doing more for them, but not doing that for myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to touch on a couple of things you said. First of all, like jumping out and starting this business and how it ended up being something that you really loved and you were surprisingly good at it. Like you weren't expecting that. And I love that because, a lot of times people are afraid to do things because they think they might not be good at it, but you don't really know until you try it. So that you just jumped out there and realized, oh my gosh, like I'm good at this. I love this. This is like a totally new fun thing for me. That's really inspiring. Hey, thanks for tuning in to the Stay-at-Home Bookkeeper Academy podcast. We empower busy moms and aspiring entrepreneurs to start a thriving bookkeeping business from home with practical tips, expert interviews, and real-life success stories. Hey guys, we're back, and I have with me Kim Guillory. She is an integrative mind-body coach and business mentor for holistic practitioners and coaches. Her mission is to reach millions of people with the message and tools of personal empowerment to change generational patterns. Super excited for our conversation today. Thank you for being here, Kim.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Yes, absolutely. Before we go back and kind of get into your story, do you want to tell a little bit more information about what your mission is and what you're doing?
Yeah, it's for sure. So my experience is pretty long. It's a pretty long journey. And to narrow it all in is I had 15 surgeries, 24 years of medication. I was sick. I had over 12 diagnoses that I've dealt with in that 24-year period. And I was on a mission to heal myself. And the biggest reason behind that is I wanted to heal the generational cycles that were happening in my family, in my life. So when I first met my husband, he had 3 children. I had 1 child and their other parents were absent. And then we had 1 together. So I have 5 kids. And my mission at that time when we met was to have a family, because I came from a broken home. I never knew my mom. And I always craved that family unit, that family connection. So it was so important to me to find that. Like I wanted to find those missing pieces. And so the work we ended up doing together through the marriage was healing that cycle of abandonment and rejection. And I guess the easiest way to say it is they would have had the tools, then the parents wouldn't have been missing, to start off with. So I knew that was a very important part of my work, but also in the generations to come. And where I met you and where this conversation comes in is I started like having, like questioning the holding the family together and having a business, like doing something for myself, because I was so set on healing those cycles and making this happen. But I kind of lost like the passion and the creativity and who am I? If I'm not just like saving these people and saving this marriage and, like healing this old wound, then what else is there?
Interesting. Very interesting. So that's kind of what led you down this journey to figure out how to kind of have your cake and eat it too.
Oh my God, exactly. So it's like, first I had to fix myself. And so on the journey through business, through the kids, through, all of the things, I actually did have that. I have that. Exactly. I love that.
Awesome. Okay. So, let's like take it back a little bit and tell us what your journey was like as you decided to start venturing out and having a business and finding your passion again.
Okay. Completely accidental.
Okay.
So I had 4 kids at home and I had put on a lot of weight. I wasn't feeling really good about myself. I was bored, but I didn't know there was an option, right? Because I'm in the South And it's just kind of what you do. You stay home and you take care of your kids. You wash the dishes, you keep the clothes clean, you wear yourself out until you get to sleep and you wake up and you do it again, right? That was kind of the theme. And I was happy about that because remember, I didn't have it at home. So I thought I had it all. But it got kind of dull and boring. And so when my child went to school, I went to cosmetology school to become a hairdresser because I was like, oh, I can do that and have my cake and eat it too, right? I can do that part-time and still have my kids at home. And so that's what led me on the journey to start working. Prior to that, I came across selling Avon in exchange for a babysitter because I didn't have anyone who would take my kids on the weekends or like during the week or anything. So I had found little bits and pieces of freedom, you know, within being a mom. But whenever I opened the doors to my salon, like whenever I just went all in, showed up, people came, Tiffany, I fell in love with working.
That's really inspiring.
I really didn't mean to. It's almost like I was apologetic for it because I was like, what do I do now? Like, I mean, and I haven't stopped since. That was back in 1997.
Wow. Awesome. So then you mentioned that like you really had a passion for that, just like you have a passion for your kids. And then you felt like you were struggling, not knowing like, you know, which route to go. So how did you deal with that?
Well, I really looked at what was actually serving the kids and where was that guilt really coming from? It actually wasn't mine. Like it wasn't my belief that I couldn't do that. It's what my community was saying. It was what I had seen in the past. And it was kind of like trying to fit into something that was set before me, like these rules that were in place on what you were supposed to do or how you were supposed to do it. And I think that's where the resistance and the struggle came from, that I had to one day come to that conclusion that actually my kids are better off when I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I was angry. I was tired of the diapers and the clothes and the cleaning and the, you know, it was like, I was struggling so much in that they didn't have the quality of what I could offer them if I were to be the whole individual who are actually getting my satisfaction from somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like I had to go from like, I thought the family was the answer to everything because my childhood led me to believe that that's why I was unhappy. And so I had to have that, you know, and then there was that, wait a minute, I have it. Why am I not happy? Wait, I have this. Well, you know, and that's when I realized that we have creativity in us. We have purpose and passion in us. You know, it's to use our God-given talent somewheres. Mm-hmm. And if I would have known that there would have been a way to balance that out from the start, you know, it possibly would have been different. I should say I tried working one time. I tried working. I got a job. I thought I was it, man. 9 to 5 or 8 to 5, 5 days a week, working at a finance company. Like, okay. I was like, I got the 8 to 5 job, right? The 9 to 5 job. I worked for 6 months and I've never worked for anybody else since. It was terrible. Yeah. That was like worse than being locked into diapers and dishes.
I can definitely agree with that as well.
Yeah. And it was I got $301.50 when I got paid. And my babysitter was $75 a week. And it was $301.50 for 2 weeks. Like it was a nightmare what I was doing. Yeah. It took 6 months and I was like, I don't think I'm made for that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Because that also didn't give you any passion or purpose. It was just, you know, punching the time clock. And a lot of times when you have jobs like that you're not passionate about and the pay doesn't really match up either. And it makes it, you know, a no-brainer to really not continue on with that job.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was like phone calls to tell people to pay their bills.
Yeah, that's the worst. That's the worst. But yeah, so like having the option though to be home or start a business where you can fulfill kind of both of those needs, like what the type of parent that you want to be, but also still having like a purpose in life for you where you can fulfill your own personal passion.
Yeah, I am such an advocate for entrepreneurship. Like, I mean, you'd have to shake me really hard to get me to sway. I just don't understand why anybody wouldn't want to do this. And I guess there are people who literally don't, but I can't make it make sense. Mm-hmm. Like if you could set your own hours, if you can like work as much you want to work, take off whenever you want to take off, get the responsibilities done, figure it out, put it in your schedule. and have the kids and the playtime and the vacation. And I mean, you can even like have help come in and take I don't understand why anybody would want anything else.
Yep. Yeah. Totally with you on that. There's so many perks to having a business. And then one that you didn't even mention is that everything that you're learning, this personal development, you grow into such a different person and a much smarter, more well-rounded person. And that also trickles down to your kids.
Yeah, it's the best. It's the best. Whenever I've met people who have, first of all, who have no children. And I was like, boo, you need some kids. You need some struggle in your life to help you grow. And then whenever I got into business and I realized, like, you open the door and you think everyone's going to come, and it's like crickets at first. You're like, oh, wait, you got to go tell people, like, you got to promote yourself. So that was the next big one. But then I got into direct sales for a few years, and I became a leader pretty quick and I realized how much I was lacking in the personal growth. And like, the coaching has helped me so much to be able to, like, mentally, you know, with my own mindset and emotionally not get so caught up and attached, you know. So all of those things wouldn't have come to me if it wasn't for business, if it wasn't for direct sales, for trying to learn how to lead, how to have a team, how to set my own hours. That's a whole nother thing. Like, working for someone else and putting the time clock in, you're just like a robot, right? You just get it done. You know exactly what to do. But when you're home and you're working for yourself, you have to put you on the schedule. You have to show up in more, like, it's completely different. So talk about personal growth. Absolutely.
Yes. Yep. Totally. And have you noticed, like, what ways have your kids benefited from you being a business owner?
That's a great question. Number one, they had their parents present at their activities. Mm-hmm. We played baseball, basketball. They did everything. And we were there for everything. We were the coaches. We were the cheerleaders. We were the drivers, you know, with the caravans going. We would play sports in the summer. We went all the way to the World Series with the kids. There's so much. And I have one who is now a hairdresser. She's in her own business. And I have a couple of kids that are offshore. We have farmers. And so it's like, it's trickled down to our grandkids. So I have 5 kids. And now we have 12 grandkids. I have a child that's in, this is how I see it. Like, we could actually take our kids, move ourselves from society, and we could service ourselves. So we have someone who can do electrical work, someone who can do carpentry, it's like, we've kind of covered our own bases. We can grow our own food. We make sausage, you know, it's like, we can cut our own hair. We have a nurse who could, you know, do any kind of medication treatments that we needed. And so it's like that independence, right? The personal empowerment that is attained when you're willing to go out and do the thing that you're passionate about, that you love. But mostly what I'm thinking about right now is my kids have positioned themselves through empowered parents. My kids have positioned themselves that they can all take off and we can go places.
Awesome. Oh, nice. You guys can travel together and vacation together.
They hunt for weeks at a time. They have the fishing camp. They have the hunting camp. The girls, we do the beach trips and we take the granddaughters on shopping trips. That is life. That is living. That is not possible when you are chained to a time clock and someone else is in control of your life.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. 100%. That's true freedom. Really. Yeah. I love that. That's awesome. Congratulations on that. And on, you know, leading your kids down that path, because they aren't going to experience the struggles that so many of us have. So that is.
And my oldest grandchild is now in college. He's there because his parents are making him go, and he understands, but he is studying like real estate, entrepreneurship. Like, I've got all the personal development books. He's reading them one by one. We had confirmation for one of the grandkids last night. He and I were having a conversation about investments, you know, and what we're doing with the cordones and how we're going. He's so into it. That wouldn't be possible if so my daughter-in-law's dad had a grocery store and always had his own business. Everything he's done has been working for himself. So everything this kid has seen that's been prosperous is coming from people owning their own business. That has really impacted his thoughts about what he's going to do for a career. And so it's the example that we lead by. Yeah, exactly. I love it. My teenagers are starting to show interest in things like that and have really amazing ideas that I can't even believe are coming from 15 and 17-year-olds. So it's really cool how they see that. They see the impact and the difference that it is in you when you're growing a business and the personal development that you're experiencing. And
and they really see it all. So.
And my husband was able to retire. Like if I wouldn't be doing what I do, that wouldn't have happened.
Mm-hmm.
So he did work, for a corporation. He worked for Cabot, and he retired. And it's mostly because he saw the freedom. Like he was stuck having to work all the time. He was working shift work. Because they went from 8-hour shifts, changing every 3 weeks, to 12-hour shifts, working graveyard and days. And, having the 5 kids. And so if I wouldn't have been an entrepreneur in charge of my own clock, our kids would have been raised by someone else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. A lot of people experience that, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. in the daycare. And that's the hours that my husband was working as well. And I quit my job to start my bookkeeping business when my 3rd child was an infant. And he was still working outside of the house. And with the commute and everything, he was gone for 12 hours. And so he, during the week only got to see our daughter for like an hour or an hour and a half every night. And, but luckily within 7 months of opening up my bookkeeping business, I was able to retire him too. So he got to be a stay-at-home dad. And by the time she turned 1, he was there. He's been a stay-at-home dad for like the entire, time. And then we had 2 more kids after that. And he's been able to be there, be available anytime that they've wanted or needed him. So
it's the best, because now I didn't realize this whenever we had all the kids at home and I was doing all the things, but he's a much better shopper, and he cooks and he cleans. And so I get to work even more if I want to. I was like, where did this come from? When did this happen? It's so good. Like he comes get my car, he changes, goes sees about the tires, he changes the oil, he's doing the grass, he's catering around the building. It's so good.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, I have the same experience actually. My husband has taken over the cooking. I haven't washed dishes or done my own laundry in probably 3 years, which is absolutely amazing. And we finally got our business to the level where now we actually have somebody that comes in and does the laundry and cooking for us. So now he doesn't even have to do that. So it's just super, super awesome.
She was here today. For sure. Turns out I'm better at something else. Then that's like right now we're watching this with the kids. So the grandparents are like coaching the grandkids. So it's so fun. We have these little boys, they would call them the V-Dreens, but it's like these little boys, they're all close to the same age. My daughter had 3 kids within 3 years. And so he's now coaching baseball with them. And my grandchildren are helping as the coach. So it's like, it's a big family thing. I mean, we're in so much joy over this that we can't wait to get to the ballpark and watch it. And we created this. Yeah. Like, we created this by entrepreneurship.
That is awesome. I love it. So passionate about that. I'm so thankful that you were able to come on here too and share your story about this. Is there anything else that you want to tell some of the moms out there, whether they're like working a corporate job and want to be home more, or they're stay-at-home moms and they are kind of like lacking some passion? What would you say about, making that leap to jump into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, that's a big deal. I have clients, and I myself kind of dealt with some of that guilt of like needing to stay home. Nobody else can do it like I can. I can't trust anyone else, with the kids, or whatever the generational patterning is, whatever the story, the environmental conditioning, I'll say, or societal conditioning is, or that's what it was for me, is just the recognizing if you're feeling the dullness and the dissatisfaction, and then ask yourself the question of, are you truly serving and being the example of reaching your own potential? Because guys, our kids are going to do what we do. They're not going to do what we say. You can't tell them you can go out into the world and do whatever you want. And you can have all of this freedom and you can create all of this stuff. And then you're sitting in a position where you actually have, or fizzing out, this passion, and you'll see it show up: chronic pain, overweight, kind of like binge eating, or looking for satisfaction, like the good way. We say it's like the nice girl's way of like being mean to herself, because it's like, you don't know what to do with that potential. And I think that's what the extra weight and the pain is. It's potential that's not being utilized. And so it's like just a heaviness, a dampenness. And so if anybody feels like they're just kind of like is this all there is? Like, we just wake up and do this, and, I can't do anything else. I'm trapped in life by the kids, or like that. If you have that kind of dialogue going, like, really question and look at examples of people who have done it and done it in a way that, like, I would put my family up against anybody's family. It's so intimate. It's so rich. We've got a load of kids here on Sundays. Like, the yard is full. They're all here. They all live close by except for one of them. And so it's like, you can imagine, right? 4 kids, their partners, plus 12, grandbaby, all loaded up in the living room. Like, nothing tastes as delicious as that. It's like that. I just can't imagine. I don't know. There was a time I didn't think it was possible. I really was kind of caught in the, I can't have what I want and have that. I believed it for a while because I was battling the two, because I love work so much and I love what I do. I had a hard time pulling myself away. But then when I was with them, I had a hard time coming back to work. Yes. Right. So it's like, I loved both equally. So I would get caught between both. And when I found that there's no such thing as balance, by the way, you can't balance, you just dance. You just dance between the two. So you mark out your calendar, you have your priorities of where you have to show up, the clients that you have to see, the thing you have to do. Because how many hours a week do they work in bookkeeping?
It's totally flexible, whatever they want to do. They can work as little as 5 hours a week up to a full-time job if they want.
Same. So I mark out my calendar first. Like, I don't go to work until 10 o'clock. Yeah. And then I know every person, if I have a meeting with someone or a call with someone, it's the same exact time every single week. I am off on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I travel. That's where I met you at. And then on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I dial in, I get it all done. Like, because you can orchestrate that in a way that works for you. And so if your kids are school age, then you want to get everything done from maybe it's 8 to 2, or like, and I was able to do that. So when my child was at private school and I had to run to go pick him up, I made sure I didn't have appointments after 2 o'clock. I made sure I didn't have appointments until 9 o'clock because I got him to school. I had an hour to myself. Then I started my work day. Then whenever they started driving, completely switched that. Whenever they started playing sports, I switched it again. So it's always dancing. And I have like so much passion, so much ambition, so much drive. And it's not about me. Like, it's really not about me anymore. It's about the bigger purpose and the mission. And like, I'm thinking about what you do. You know how helpful that is for somebody like me that just loves to work and hates those numbers and sitting there doing that. Right. There are many people like me who exist in the world. Come on, guys, get signed up. Let's go. Let's roll it. I was telling a friend of mine that I was like, even here in my local area, because I train coaches, like I train practitioners and massage therapists or to become mind body coaches. Well, as soon as they start making money, we love our work so much, we really don't want to do the bookkeeping.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not what we do best. We do best helping people heal. We do best helping people feel better. And when it comes to sitting down doing numbers, we don't feel better. So it's like, we need people like you. We make plenty of money. We know how to do that. And we love paying people to help us, because that person paying that person helps me reach more people.
Right. Exactly. When you can focus on the money generating activities in your own business, then you can make more money. And so offloading all those other things that are important, but maybe not generating money, it's really, really helpful.
Yeah. And if I can inject on something that might be an opinion, so I would just want to say that from coming out the gate. But here's my thought about, because I've experienced this and I know a lot of moms who do, is you're not trading off the money for quality time for the kids, because money is the language of the material world. It's a necessity. It is the language. And this is what I thought when we were at that event. I came home and I said, you know what? If I don't take this position to teach my grandchildren, I don't care if it's like, for me personally, I want to teach them how to make $1 million, because making $100,000 in 10 years from now, I think is going to be right there above poverty. Like, I really think it's changing so much, so fast. Like, we can look today, it's $5 for gas. Like, we have to teach them how to empower themselves. And so if we are not empowering ourselves, then you are leaving it up to the government and the school system and the church and the colleges. They don't have this information about entrepreneurship. They're not doing this. And so if we don't take the position, if we don't take the role and become the example of that potential, they're going to do what you're doing.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And I totally agree with you. I mean, $100,000 right now for a family of 4 is practically poverty level. That's really hard to get by. You can't go on vacations. You can't spend any extra money. And that can be really rough. So yeah, teaching them how to make $1 million, Absolutely.
Yeah. Because like we know that like feelings are the language of the body, right? We know like the way that the thoughts are the language of the mind, and money is the language of the material world. And every single one, if you're listening to this, you live in the material world. Like that's the language of humanity. It's how we're going to function. It's going to decide the quality of your life. And I'm not saying you have to have a lot of money and you have to have a lot of things. I'm just saying it gives you access to health.
Yes.
Like, just signing up for the 10X stuff and being able to like check on my blood and sign up for the supplements and getting the things I needed. I was like, it feels good to know that I'm empowering my body and I'm going to be there longer for my family. And I'm going to be there in vibrant health. I'm not going to be there for them to take care of me.
Yeah.
I'm going
and
to be there.
Think twice about making choices like that. That's one thing that I really love about being a business owner in a situation where I control how much money comes into me. Because if I want to do something for my health or something, anything that I want to do, I don't have to think twice about it. I can just do it. There's no budgeting involved. You just do it.
Just do it.
Yep.
So anyway, that's my take. That's my opinion, because it's important to me. And I'm really not a materialistic person. I'm very grounded, and family is so important to me. And that is how I can serve my family.
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it. Well, if there is anyone on here that wants to reach out to you and connect with you and learn more about what you do, where can they find you?
The best place is just look up More Than Mindset. You're going to get my podcast. You're going to get my free Facebook group. You can just Google my name.com, kimguillory.com. And that's my website and everything's there. I'm pretty easy to find, but I would say start with the podcast. If you want to listen to someone who's balancing, or I won't use the word balance, I'm dancing between family and money and spirituality and entrepreneurship. The podcast will do that. I tell my story about my health. I tell stories about some of the things, with the kids and, what it's like to be an entrepreneur in today's world and how that actually is a spiritual service. It's who we are. We're really just here to create and to experience and to connect and to contribute. And I think entrepreneur is the path to do that.
I love it. Yep. I've had some of the best connections working through my business and meeting the most amazing people.
We're so fun. And it's because of what it took to get us here. And it's the fear of doing something new and different. And this is the last thing I'm going to say is, if you're afraid to do something new and different, understand that the fuel that comes from moving into action from fear is courage. Like the elixir of action through fear is courage. Courage is not something you wait for. It's not something you go get from someone else. Courage is attained by moving through fearful.
I love it. Yep. Perfect. Way to end it. So thank you so much for coming on here. I really appreciate everything that you shared. This was so impactful.
Thank you for the invite. Anytime.